Inclusion and empowerment, as we are celebrating the marriage between these two, I think one is impossible without the other. And now, as we're looking at the definition of inclusion that's expanding, initially in my head, it was all about disability. But now, as I'm growing and glowing, I see that it's not just about physical abilities, it's about language, it's about community, it's about hospitality, it's about so much more. And with this, I would like to actually invite my two experts who are here with me to have a deeper conversation about what it means to them. Before I introduce my first expert, I'd also like to say that there's one thing I really pride myself on. That is that I don't really stalk people. I stalk organizations, and I stalk visions, and I stalk journeys. And Zero Project has been one organization that I've been stalking for a very long time now. And I'm so happy to be in conversation today with Wilfried. Wilfried, you are the head of research at Zero Project. Can we please have your opening remarks for all our winners? What do you think? What's really happening here?
Well, first of all, thank you so much. I mean, first of all, the selection is just amazing. I mean, so diverse and the real global reach with very interesting things. What is let's say the common denominator? I think what would interest me is also, since it seems that you are in different stages of the spectrum now. I think the colleagues from Ghana are in the prototype phase. Two of them are in the startup. The speak seems quite established. So what in what way can we contribute, or what would you need from the community, from us, in order to do your logical next step?
Thank you very much, Wilfried. And now I'd also like to rope in Sid from Brazil. I told him that I once visited his beautiful country, and I'm so happy that so many amazing initiatives are taking place over there. And connecting with Sid could be another reason for myself to visit Brazil again. Sid, please give us your opening remarks. And then as we discuss further, we would love to know more about your personal journey that has given us a hero in terms of inclusion. So over to you.
Well, thank you so much. Well, I'm really impressed, positively impressed with the number of projects that deal with persons with disabilities. You know, watching WSA over the years, I think there's an increase of projects that you know, target persons with disabilities, which is a great improvement, I think. And I'm open to each one of those projects that want to have business in Brazil. I mean, they can contact me, and you know, I might help in what I can. I mean, I'm CEO of a project of a video relay service for deaf people. So you know, I'm very familiarized with the market and with the needs of persons with disabilities. And as I said, you know, you can count on everybody that's, you know, watching us can count on me for whatever they need in Brazil. But again, you know, congratulations for the number of projects that are inclusive and that you know, deal with persons with disabilities, that are so much forgotten in many cases. And I see here that things are changing.
Thank you very much, Sid. And I would like to invite our winners as well to please be part of this conversation. Now, like I mentioned, that I think the definition of inclusion is expanding. And I think we have one question. Okay, we have questions pouring in. Nasika, you're picking up on the popularity over here. So maybe we could take this question, and then I have a couple of questions for all our experts as well. So Nasika, the question for you is, are there any competitors with similar ideas in Africa? What is your main differentiator?
Okay, so for us, the main differentiator is we adding physical personnel that we plant within small towns and villages that can help people who need access to digital financial services. So it's not just we put in a digital solution and we sit in the big towns and allow the system to just grow. We still have physical people who help individuals to get them to access the platform as well. So aside the digital side, there's also the physical side to access people who don't have the means to join the digital platform.
Thank you very much. And one quick request to all the winners, please turn on your cameras. We'd love to see your beautiful faces. Amazing. I see you all. I feel great now. I feel so inclusive now. I feel I'm part of the group now. So one quick question for everybody. When I was growing up, I thought inclusion only meant including people with disabilities into programs, into leadership positions. But now it's so different for each one of us. Considering it our personal journey as someone who has experienced disability, someone like myself and Sid over here, and then there are other young winners over here and experts over here who've had different journey. I don't see any physical visible disability, but everyone has a story. My question is, what is your understanding of inclusion? I'll go first. Here's a bit of a TikTok challenge. So my understanding is inclusion means singing happy birthday for someone else. See what I did there? It wasn't my birthday. It was someone else's birthday, but I'm happy and I'm singing happy birthday. So that is my vision of inclusion. So over to you. Please tell us yours.
I might go first on this then.
Sure.
So obviously our focus is primarily on accessibility. But like I said, when we talk about accessibility, this is in the broadest sense. This is something which affects all of us at some stage in our lives. You're wearing glasses, Wilfried. Something that we cover is, if you've forgotten your glasses in a cafeteria, a menu in larger print. This is something that while that 1.2 billion people with disabilities are severely affected by this issue, we've found that broadening the conversation to touch on everyone's experience in life at some stage and affecting them is what will drive our impact. The other thing we found is, so diversity and inclusion, it is a real buzz topic at the moment and buzzword. But what we found up to now is that companies in particular have found it difficult to actually measure what that means and measure how they're doing and the improvements that they're making there. So that's something that we built in with what we're doing, so that there's that process of continuous improvement where, they get a baseline in terms of accessibility as to where they are, which no company in the world, even the likes of Google, don't have good insights in at the moment. And then it's that process of an annual reassessment and evaluation and improvements to get to a platinum level. We found as well where sites are, because we've an algorithm and we've a score for accessibility for each site, the biggest driver is where site managers are competing against each other to score better for their building and wondering how they can beat internally their other buildings. So we've found by gamifying things that it raises all boats in terms of inclusion as well.
Thank you very much. And I believe Wilfried has a question for Jonah. Am I correct? Your mic.
Yes, well, I was wondering for the whole group, not only you in particular, but please go first in answering. I was just wondering. I mean, you are in this let's say post startup phase. So what is the logical next step for you, and what kind of support are you looking for?
Yeah, I can probably go in. So I can address the question from 2 points. The first one is around community and networks. So as we look to develop our product, as we look to expand in terms of how we provide the product to serve different communities, it's getting connected to people in different countries, different regions. Because when we look at financial inclusion, it's a bigger problem. It's a bigger problem in North America, but then when you look at it globally, it's even a bigger problem. To me personally, economic inequality is one of the biggest problems that we have in the world. And then it's something that I think it's an urgent issue that needs to be solved as soon as possible. So it's connections, it's networks, and then also mentorship that we can tap into within the ecosystem, and then looking at how we can solve the sustainable development goals in a more collaborative way. And then the other part I wanted to also address in terms of the question around inclusion, I think inclusion to me means access. How can you improve access to people within the globe in terms of whether it's financial services, whether it's accessibility? I think it also means just access. How can you create systems that allow people to economically empower themselves? And then that's how I view that from my own view. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Shana. Basil, would you like to go next?
Yes, thank you first for this question. So when it comes to accessibility, like from our point of view, when it comes to education, like when the pandemic hit in Lebanon, there's a lot of rural areas that were not able to learn. So there's also like only this capital or these specific schools that were just learning online. But then when it came to different areas, we were not, like these people were not able to learn online. So this is where we started first. But then we noticed that even when it comes to age groups, like there's specific age group that know how to use online learning, that they're learning online, but there's other people that are not learning. For example, the parents that we're working with, they're old, they don't know like how to use computers or laptops, but they know how to use WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger. So getting them included in this online learning for lifelong learning is something to include everyone from different age groups, from different backgrounds, from different areas, all of them to be able to get the power of education and be able like to empower them into what they need to do or achieve in their community. So this is our vision when it comes to this inclusion.
Of course, and Wilfried's question was about the support that you would require from platforms like Essl Foundation or WSA.
Yes, so first of all, thank you for inviting us to WSA. And what we're looking forward for that is more exposure, because we have the technology out there. We have tested it with a lot of students in different languages. We're looking with partners that already have these students that have difficulty of learning online, that we want to partner with them to get our platform and content out there. So we're really looking for partnerships, for implementers that are on the ground dealing with these students that think that this technology and content might be helpful for them. So this is specifically what we're looking for when it comes to WSA or other like exposure that we're getting from, yeah.
Thank you very much, Basil. Harvind, would you like to share?
Yes, thank you so much, Tanzila. I think for us, we believe inclusion is basically feeling at home in any city you live in. And it's not just a matter of having a job or having a house or stuff like that, but it's actually feeling at home. It's the unspoken intricacies of feeling like you belong everywhere. And once you have that anywhere you are, that's how you truly feel inclusive. And it's not just on the person who moved there to take the steps needed, but it's also for the locals in a specific community to make sure that they give this possibility to migrants and refugees who arrive and makes it an inclusive environment all around. When it comes to support we need, I think with Speak, it's two things. One, we would love to get connected to organizations that work with our target market in different locales, who directly work with migrants and refugees and those who need the help the most. And second, I think in terms of scalability, we do have a social franchising model that can be replicated by any individual or organization in any city around the world. We have a selection and onboarding process that they can join. Once they pass it, if we feel like it's a fit from both sides, we start our arrangement and they start replicating our project in their city. And I think the trick there is to get a bit more exposure in the locales that we don't already have a strong presence in, like North America, Asia, South America. If we can get connected to change makers or organizations who want to take Speak to their cities, I think that would really help us a lot in scaling up at the moment. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Harvind. And if I have not missed anybody, I'd actually like to jump to Sid. And I have a question, Sid, my initial question about what inclusion means to you. And another add-on to that would be that what is something about inclusion that the world is not really understanding or the world is not really doing that needs to be done? The floor is yours.
Well, thank you for the question. Remember, I mean, you guys didn't participate. We had an event last week called Hack Accessibility. And I made a proposition, which is to create the 18th development goal, sustainable development goal. I don't think accessibility is really represented in the 17 goals that already exist. And the lack of accessibility, as you showed here, affects over 1 billion people all over the world. I mean, it's a really serious matter and a serious problem, because in most countries, accessibility is a problem. I mean, if you take, even in some developed countries, accessibility is not okay. I mean, if you think about physical architectural accessibility, so my pitch is for the United Nations to create the 18th sustainable goal, which is accessibility for all. What do you think about it?
Couldn't agree more. I mean, I think this is the best proposition, the best way forward to propose, and I think we all stand by it. And with this, I'd also like to come to Nasika, Chelsea and Ralph. What is your understanding of inclusion? And also, I think you did not answer Wilfried's question. Please let us know what support you would require.
Okay. So for us, because we wanted to really affect the lives of mostly women who are mostly marginalized when it comes to access to financial services, we thought it wise to not just target big towns and cities. So even we starting up, we went into a smaller town and the western region of our country, Ghana. And based on that, we realized that there are a lot of women out there who are not connected to any form of financial services. And in that case, they end up putting monies into different sort of unregulated institutions that at the end of the day, they lose a lot of money, and then they are sort of not being bothered by the authorities because nobody knows where the money went. So for us, we are targeting most of these people, because if we don't come in that area, who is going to do it? And we had to take a step to make sure that we are affecting lives, especially women who are small business owners, and they make small monies within over a period, and they can push it into a platform that they can trust, which is regulated, and there is an accounting for it because it's digital. So there's a trace of every transaction that they can really rely on, and also makes their life easier. And when it comes to accessibility, just like I think one of our winners also mentioned, we also have chatbots, which we use. Because if you tell most of these people that, install an app, they will tell you they either don't have a smartphone or they don't have space to install any new app. So basically, using a chatbot makes it easier for them. The language in the chatbot is also basic so that they can even understand. We are even working on possibly to roll out local language chatbots that uses voice notes that can get people access to digital financial services. For us to benefit from this, For us to benefit from this program, we are looking at, exposure, because we see WSA to be a very big platform for us to be on. For we just being announced within just a couple of weeks, we had a little spike in registration on our platform, and it was good for us. We have plans in rolling out our solution in East Africa and also 4 countries in West Africa. So this is one opportunity that we think it's good for us. Apart from we also exposing ourselves to investors out there who would like to push money into this powerful platform that we have built for the whole of Africa. Thank you.
I'm very happy to hear that, Ralph, and I know that bubble of joy that you feel as a startup founder when a slight spike goes up, or if there's traffic on your website. I know it feels like as if it's a festive day. So I know that feeling, and I hope that that never goes away for you. We were also curious to know about the title of your startup. What does Nasika mean?
Okay, so it's 2 words, Na and Sika. Sika basically means money. Yes, it means money. But Na, and I'll break it down 3 areas. In the northern part of Ghana, Na is a title for a chief or an elderly person. When you come to the middle bit, it's also a title for an elderly person, and also below is a title for an elderly woman. So if you even look at up here, our logo, we represent it with the woman because we think the empathy of a woman, and we know how women take good care of money. So basically, it's title plus money. So na Sika.
That is very thoughtful, and it's interesting how you say it, because in the conversation of inclusion, sometimes we miss out about the gender conversation. Women are not a minority, but they're not also fully integrated in the social system that we have.
Exactly.
So it's very interesting to keep in mind the gender aspect of inclusion as well, and it's not always a certain minority that needs to be included. Sometimes it is a majority. So this is interesting, and with this, I'd like to move towards Stefan. Please share your thoughts with us.
Oh, well, firstly, I never mentioned at the start, but just so incredible to see such amazing solutions to different areas of D&I today. So congrats to everyone, like really, really inspiring stuff. The second point is I agree 100%, Sid, with your point on the 18th piece of the SDGs. And while our solution touches on, more than 7 in that, there's no specific piece in terms of accessibility which affects at least 1/6, 1/7 of the world's population. We also, like I mentioned about inclusion, but for us, inclusion is around everyone having the same opportunity, basically, which is not the case, particularly around the workplace environment and traveling. And in terms of the support and WSA, and like we're incredibly honored and humbled to be involved here. Our mission is to see our solution on every building in the world, which is no mean feat. And I think with the networks and what WSA has done to date to establish themselves as the global leader in this impact space, I think the networks and the opportunities of a partnership and of more conversations around this is something that we'd love to explore further. We're going through a Series A as well, so we're raising a significant amount, and we're growing our team to 40, 50, 60 people over the coming months. So we're incredibly excited about the potential impact that we're going to have, and the scale and opportunity with this piece of technology that we've developed as well, and partnering with someone like WSA will help us accelerate that impact.
Thank you so much, Stephen. And it's interesting to see that everybody mentions about partnerships. And I can't agree more that partnerships are a great way to take the vision forward. I also wanted to dive into dark waters before we actually exit on a happier note. And I really wanted to explore a bit more about challenges. I see that WSA is inclusive, it has a sensitized community, and we all are on the same page over here when it comes to the idea of inclusion. But there's a bigger world out there, and there are like bigger sharks out there. And a lot of work needs to be done when it comes to sensitizing the world about understanding inclusion. And as an entrepreneur myself, sometimes I felt the challenge of making myself presenting a solution that's lucrative and not just seen from a charitable point of view, especially when you talk about accessibility, inclusion, disability, even menstrual health care. Instead of helping me understand there's a market out there, mostly NGOs would reach out and say, we'll donate. And I'll say, I have a startup. We don't need donation, we need investment. My question to all of you, starting from my experts, would be that how hard it is to make the community understand that inclusion is a necessity of way forward. And it's not a charitable idea. It's something that needs to be taken seriously in many different ways. Wilfried, would you like to start?
Yes, thank you. I just want to answer Sid's proposal, because I had the pleasure of being on the call also last week. I think it's a brilliant idea to have accessibility also, let's see, on the map. But it's now coming back to your question, Tanzila. I think the inclusion definition is what we need to work on, and what we need to tell the world about. No, because it's the community outside of our universe needs to understand what inclusion stands for, and it just stands for to include everybody, and with and without disabilities. And there's visible disabilities, and there's invisible disabilities. There's mental health. There's different things which you don't realize. And this is what we need to talk about. And above all, and also coming back what Stephen just said, I think above all, companies need to realize this, because in some parts of the world we have these unfortunate quota systems, which have been intended well maybe, but now let's say the definition of disabilities is totally different. It's different abilities, and we need to tell companies about it, because I think job performance and being included in the workforce is a very, very important step to be inclusive and to have also an inclusive society. And the last point I want to make is definitely visibility. We need examples like you to play it up and down the media, really talk about it, spread the message, because the storytelling is definitely a thing we need to work on. There's good things happening out there, but we really need to focus to tell and to get our story across.
Thank you very much. Yes, Sid.
Yes, well, I've been here in Brazil, and I've been talking a lot, defending the digital and communicational accessibility. I'm involved in in some projects of architectural accessibility, but my main topic these days is digital and communicational accessibility, which is, also a great problem. Here in Brazil, for instance, and I think all over the world, less than 1% of websites are fully accessible. This is a big problem, in these days of digital transformation, and, talking about the pandemic as well. So, I've been, conveying to companies that they have to have their websites and apps accessible. When I was the city secretary for persons with disabilities in São Paulo, I could, it was a big project, but we had the 65 websites of City Hall fully accessible with all resources, even for deaf people, which is hard to see. Resources for deaf people to feel included as well. So, this is my topic these days, and I would like you guys to talk a little bit about digital accessibility and what you're doing about it, because many of these apps, I would say, that are not fully accessible as well. So I want to hear their point of view on that.
Excellent. I think so. The ball is back towards our winners. Who would like to go first?
I'm happy to jump in with a quick story on that. So look, again, 100% agree. Digital accessibility, massive piece. Just a simple story. So we're working with one of the largest facilities management companies in the world, and the CEO for the European branch of that. We were talking to him recently. And he said that within the last month, he said he wasn't aware of it, but every month they hold a meeting with about 500 of their employees. And what he decided to do, on a suggestion from one of the employees, was to turn on the subtitles on Microsoft Teams while he was talking. And he said there'd be names and there'd be certain things that it wouldn't pick up properly. But he said the reaction he got at the end of the first session, in terms of the outpouring of joy, that simple thing that there was subtitles for his piece. He said it wasn't just people with accessibility needs or disabilities. It was those who maybe English wasn't their first language and they could follow it better, or maybe they were in a quiet environment where they couldn't have the sound loud or that, and they were able to follow the conversation. So we just strongly believe that accessibility and inclusion touches on every single person's life at some stage. And those simple changes can make a big difference.
Absolutely. I love this story, and I'm sure that stories like these actually give way to bigger movements. Thank you, Stephen, for sharing. And I believe, Ralph, you had something to share? I did see some movement there.
Yes. Okay, yeah. So apart from accessibility being like a social, more of like a thing that you need to do as a person to be able to get people to be inclusive as well, I feel it also adds up to the business side of it. Yeah, you should also be looking at numbers. If you could get this minority in quotes to sort of also be part of your solution or to any kind of enterprise or platform that you're building, it's also a plus to you as a business person because you are also adding on. So in as much as you're trying to get people to be as an entrepreneur, trying to reach out to people, you should look at all spectrum of people and look at the best possible ways to attract everyone. So if you're able to make sure that your solution is accessible for everyone and at all stages, that means that you're also adding up your numbers. So for business side, it's also good.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Ralph. Who else would like to share their thoughts? Yes, Basil, please.
Yes. So first of all, thank you for this question. So indeed, as entrepreneurs, like we face a lot of challenges, especially when we're working with like trying to help underserved students, like trying to find a business model that works, that we can get money out of and also impact people's life. So in our case, we have two things that like worked with us that might be helpful. So one is we understand how this organization is currently working with the students, like where is the money being paid? For example, they used to pay the students to like transportation to go to the center to learn. So instead of paying that, pay a fraction of this transportation to us for the platform to get them access to this education, and then you'll save more money to impact more people, and you're not spending more, and we're sustainable. So understanding really where the money is being spent and optimizing it based on the technology that you have can be something very beneficial. So this is one of the points that helps. Also, when it comes to our platform, for example, we're not just using it with, like, we want this platform to be used by everyone, and it's not just the underserved people. So we might charge people that are not non-profit organizations a different model than the non-profit organizations to make sure that we can balance and we can make sure that like we cover the whole target. So these are some things that we're currently working on to make sure that we're inclusive when it comes to the platform, and we're also sustainable when it comes to our business model.
Thank you very much, Basil. Harbin, would you like to share?
Yes, thank you, Tanzila. So just going to talk about like how to get out of the donation stereotype question that you asked. So for Speak, a big part of this as well was for us to look at different revenue streams to take out the onus from getting our users to solely contribute to the platform. And that's why we diversified it through B2B partnerships and B2B deals, and also through the pay what you want model, which is not technically a donation per se, but more of a contribution if you like to support the project. And I think for us, that's very important because we didn't just want to rely on donations to keep going or use that as the only source of revenue for us to truly scale, because it fluctuates a lot. But by focusing on developing programs for B2Bs that can be scaled over years and through different countries as well, and also opening up the pay what you want contribution model to basically everyone who wants to contribute if they want to. It's an optional solution. I think that truly helped us be able to look at utilizing this revenue stream and using it to scale our project to different countries and cities.
Thank you very much, Harbin. Sid, would like to comment?
Actually, I would like to propose another question, which is, a public that is really ignored all over the world are with different it's different from country to country, but in general, forgotten are the deaf people that use sign language, right? Many times they don't know, they know sign language, but they don't know their official language in the country. For example, English or Portuguese, they only know sign language. And, very few projects target or think about this public, right? I mean, we're doing a great progress here in Brazil. As I said, I'm CEO of a company that works with video relay service, which is targeted to deaf people that use sign language. So what I want to ask is, how is your, what do you think about that, and how it is this attention to deaf people in your countries? I mean, if you see that people included, or they are, really forgotten as, almost everywhere.
That's a very interesting question. And just to quickly share 2 points about Pakistan, I think when it comes to sign language, there is a local sign language, which is PSL, Pakistan Sign Language. But most of the trainers that come into the country are either from America or from UK. So they have their own sign language. So once they educate, sometimes there's a clash between these two sign languages happening. And now the trend is starting up of having different sign language interpreters at different conferences. But again, a business model around it, but not very easily being able to monetize because of lack of sensitization. Over to Stefan.
Yeah, look, we've seen this time and time again, Sid. It's not just those with a hearing impairment and sign language users. It's consistently people with disabilities across the board that are totally underrepresented and underemployed. I'm a spinal cord injury myself. I'm a quadriplegic. We have a 70% unemployment rate of people with spinal cord injury in Ireland. 70% unemployed. So that's consistent across the board with various types of disabilities. That's part of the problem that we're trying to solve with our solution. To touch on the challenges as a startup and a non-profit, we started out as would we go the charity route or would we go the limited company and social enterprise? And we landed on the limited company because we believe that we have a global solution, but we also have a very real business model and a very real financial model around this. And we opened for investment 2 years ago. We were oversubscribed. So it just goes to show there's a lot of incredible people out there who are looking to support initiatives, whatever you're doing in the disability space or the inclusion space, that there are individuals out there willing to support. And we're going to Series A, and I firmly believe that we'll be oversubscribed for that round as well. We have the potential, the solution aside, the model that we've designed and the scalability of it, we have the potential to become a unicorn company while doing social good. I mean, who wouldn't want to invest or support something like that? And those impact investment funds are growing by the day as well. There's hundreds and hundreds of them out there. Now, funnily enough, I was talking with the team a few days ago. We identified the top 75 impact investment funds in the world. Not one of them had accessibility as part of their remit. So we're looking to change that and create something really special that will change the world, but also provide a substantial return for those who support it.
Absolutely agree with you, Stephen, that most of the investors also do not have the inclusive lens when they are screening startups, or they're not really looking for solutions that provide this accessibility. And with this, we have another comment from Sid. No? Okay. You know, I used to play Tambola, bingo, back in my country. It's an army thing, and we would call that a boogie call. But that's perfectly fine. And now, as we move towards the closing of this session, I have a lot of plans after this session. I've got a coffee, a meeting, then I might take a flight all the way to Ireland to have a sitting with Stefan, because I want all this mentorship coming my way. And I'm sure you have a lot of stories. So I really want to have another separate sitting with you, and then maybe to Austria to meet Wilfried. I believe you are in Austria, right? Or was my stalking gone wrong?
Yes, no, you're more than welcome to Vienna. Yes, it's.
Thank you very much. And then back to Brazil to meet Sid and hear all about his journey as well. As we move forward towards the closing of this session, which makes me a tad bit sad, I have to say that every meeting, every conference, in my head, I imagine it like a party. And I'm the kind of guest that wants a goodie bag every time I'm exiting. And I think from every conference, a goodie bag could be full of advice, insights, and good takeaways. So as we move ahead and close this session and move towards tomorrow, I would like all my guests, my panelists, my experts to actually give us a quick tad bit of an advice lesson that you have learned, something that we could take away and we all can actually leave with a goodie bag. Wilfried, would you like to start?
Sure.
Yeah.
Mine would be, since I mean, again, congratulations again to all the winners. Very interesting, great challenges ahead, but nevertheless, really groundbreaking. Is resistance and perseverance. I think not to lose focus, march your way forward. Don't be distracted and keep your eyes on the ball. I think this is really important to keep. It's all great what you're doing, but keep focused, being focused on the ball.
Thank you very much. And can we have a takeaway from Basil?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So when it comes to the takeaway or something that we discovered as we're doing like social good, like the important advice that we have from our side is just have something that is human-centered. And when you have something that's human-centered, then it can scale into different countries. It can include different people, different targets. So all the concept that we're doing right here is just trying to be human-centered. And by being human-centered, we were able to include people that we didn't think that we would be able to include. So I think this is something that's very important that I would like to share here, and yet push forward for more like human-centered designs and platforms that can be out there.
Absolutely agreed. Stefan?
I think the problems that we've all talked about on this session here today are some of the biggest problems in the world facing humanity, and I think it requires out-of-the-box thinking. It requires people who are tenacious, who are persistent, who are determined, and I'm inspired by the incredible people we've gotten to connect with on the call today, and really optimistic about the future for the solution for these problems. I also think for anyone listening that if there is a problem that you've identified and you have a viable solution, just to go for it. We're 5+ years, I think, at this. It does take a lot of grit and a lot of determination and a lot of ups and downs. Even in a couple of hours across a day, you've got real highs and real lows. But if you're passionate enough about the idea and the solution you firmly believe works, then go for it. And the world would be a better place because of the work that you're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Sid?
Yes, my contribution to take away is the 18th Sustainable Development Goal. Right? I mean, this is my contribution. We have here in Brazil, I mean, we're beginning a movement about it, but it will really, I mean, with the help of WSA eventually, we can take it to, to all over the world, and perhaps it might happen. It's not easy, right? I mean, they have to put together all the countries again and vote again and stuff. But I mean, I think it's worthwhile championing for that, because we here, I'm able to engage the militants, engage the political movement around it, and it's already bringing a lot of good things. We haven't achieved yet the 18th goal, but the way we are proposing it to associations and to the people with disabilities in Brazil is really moving the concept around, which I think it's great. And I would like you to take it to your countries and let's spread the word all over the world. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely, thank you so much, Arvind.
Yeah, I think my key piece of advice is just to remember that never fall back to the idea that you have to do it alone. The impact you want to create can be scaled if you work with partners, if you collaborate and synergize with other organizations that can also benefit from the solution that you're implementing, and involve the community as well. Because here at Speak, for example, it's a community-led solution. We provide the tools, we provide the processes, we provide the technology and the support, but it's our community that really helps us scale to different markets. So with collaboration, with partnerships and engaging change makers, I think it will allow all of us to really scale impact into a large number of markets.
Absolutely agreed. We're all in this together. Ralph.
Okay, so for us, I think it's an advice to myself and my team. Although we had plans of implementing accessibility features into our system, we have been slow in moving that ahead. But this very meeting has really opened my eyes, and I think I'm going to fast track that with the team together, and then we will look at how best we can immediately start pushing some of these recommendations that we've heard from this meeting. I think I will thank everybody for giving us that insight. We are very grateful.
Thank you very much. Congratulations to everybody once again. Thank you so much to my experts, Wilfried and Sid. And thank you to Nora for making this very easy for me. Thank you to WSA for keeping us excited about different problems, because we would love to come up with solutions and give our youth blood, sweat, and tears. And I think this is what life is all about, celebration and hard work. So thank you so much. And I really enjoyed moderating this panel. I'm going to go home with a goodie bag and a big smile.